United have had a significant amount of interest in signing a backup goalkeeper, and who that backup goalkeeper is has hopped from potential player to potential player. There was stuff around Jason Steele a couple of weeks ago, a little bit of a conversation around Zetterer right now. There's a little bit of conversation from some people who think it's still going to be Lucas Perry. Personally, that's not my opinion, but we have had potential progress on one front of signing a backup goalkeeper. And I say potential progress because I'm going to have to sort of bed this one in a lot of sort of supporting terminology, because there are conflicting reports, but the conflicting reports make this even more interesting. When apparently Zetterer, Michael Zetterer specifically, may have completed part of his medical at Thorpe Arch already. Now, this is especially important because the moment you've done a bit of your medical, effectively a move is on the brink of happening. But this is where the Zetterer conversation gets even more complicated, because the Zetterer conversation has been complicated from the start. To begin with, we had an idea that Leeds United had an interest in signing Zetterer. That was from an Athletic report, which effectively said that Leeds United are fairly close to getting the deal done, need to cozy out the remaining details, but as far as they were aware, the deal for Zetterer was on the brink of completion. The next day or two later, there was a very conflicting report from Zetterer's agent, which is sort of weird because Zetterer's agent came out and said, well, no, there is not a move with Leeds United on the brink of being done. It's not close, all this kind of stuff. There is still various bits and bobs to be sorted. That's where things get a little bit complicated, because at the same time as that report came out, there were a lot of reports on the Leeds side that were still saying, no, as far as we're aware, we're still very, very near to having this job done. And it was, again, from sources that like to double-check and make sure that everything is 100% on point, and they don't like to sort of make things up as they go, which is very, very, very promising. It's nice to see when clubs are happy to make sure that they have given the right information and journalists are reporting the correct information as well. However, the feeling behind that one, in my opinion, was that the agent may have been looking for a little bit more money from the deal, a little bit more for his client, a little bit more for the club, I don't know, but there were still bits to be hashed out very, very clearly. Now, we get to today, where I've heard from not only Jer, who mentioned it to me and on his video earlier on today, that Zetterer may have completed the first part of his medical today, which is a very, very significant step, which is basically all of the deal is done, everything is sort of sorted in terms of numbers, and it's just waiting for a signature. And waiting for a signature is a good place to be. It's just a case of do the promo shoot and all that kind of stuff and then get it across the line, bish, bash, bosh. But then some insiders from Frankfurt seem to be saying something a little bit different, because this report from 2 days ago from Inside Eintracht FFM, which is a very, very highly followed sort of Eintracht Frankfurt reporting place, stated this, if I can find the right source. There we go. It should be clear by now that Zetterer is switching to Leeds United. This was 2 days ago, which is, again, roughly the timeline matches up. If 2 days ago it was borderline certain, then we can assume there might be a medical happening right about now. Adds up a little bit. Until this morning. At which point, they said that Leeds will probably not get rid of their backup goalkeeper, Perry. This is in direct contrast to what Daniel Farke said a few minutes ago, but I will get to what he said in the press conference in a moment's time. Zetterer is back in Frankfurt and is training again this morning. Everything's getting really, really complicated. Goes on to say he's flying to Leeds and then back again because it still isn't that far after all. I can't imagine that. It's possible that something else will happen in the next few days, but it's not necessarily normal for the player to come back after such negotiations. Let's keep in mind, at the same time, Lucas Perry has gone out to a club to do a medical and then come back after further negotiations. It's a thing that's sort of happening in this deal right now, where there's a lot of dominoes that need to fall, and a lot of those dominoes need to fall in the right direction. What my sort of read on the situation is that, like Lucas Perry, it's been a case of flew out to do the medical and came back. Which I'm not entirely understanding why, because as far as I can tell, the domino chain effectively ends at Zetterer, unless Eintracht Frankfurt have completed a deal already for a new goalkeeper, which they were specifically looking in the direction of signing Noah Archibolu. Noah Archibolu is a very good goalkeeper. He's one of the players that at the start of this transfer window, before we were linked with James Trafford, I said we should very probably make a move for, because he is an excellent goalkeeper, German, 23 years old, good stuff. But Frankfurt haven't completed that move yet, and my feeling is Frankfurt need to finish the move for Archibolu in order for Leeds to make the move for Zetterer, in order for Perry to make the move to Torino. So we are currently sat in the middle of this very, very weird set of dominoes, and I will be honest, I don't know if Freiburg need to sign a new goalkeeper, because they are the club that Archibolu is currently playing for, which makes things even more complicated. So I think at the moment we are like the third or fourth step in a set of dominoes, and once they fall, Archibolu moves, Zetterer moves, Perry moves. Which is why, in today's press conference, Daniel Farke was asked about Lucas Perry, and he was specifically asked, so what's going on there? Because we know that there's a potential move going on. We don't quite understand it from the journalistic perspective, which makes complete sense. Like, everyone's looking at the situation and going, what's going on? Which is fair enough, because everything sort of halted all at once. And Daniel Farke effectively said that at the moment he's still a player under Leeds United contract, but we don't know what will happen in the coming days. And that don't know what will happen in the coming days is fairly significantly going to be couched in the fact that we're 2 or 3 steps down the line of what needs to happen. Archibolu needs to move. Then Zetterer, then Perry. But I think we're in a situation where at Leeds United we're relatively comfortable with the goalkeeping situation, and a lot of people looking at the situation and going, well, we need to make a move right now or Perry will go and no one will come in. That's not the case, I think, because we are waiting for our goalkeeper to come in the form of Zetterer before Perry goes. No matter what, we will approach the season ahead of us with a backup goalkeeper. I'm just going to put that one out there now. There is no world in which I envision us selling Lucas Perry only for Zetterer or an alternative to not come in. And I feel like if Perry does move, then we will have other players lined up to fill in this role. Someone like a Jason Steele as the example. There are goalkeepers that are looking for moves right now, and we can probably find one that looks at the Premier League and goes, I don't mind being second choice there for a while. At the end of the day, goalkeeping is one of those positions where you understand that you're not going to play a lot of the time, unless you're like 5-a-side or 7-a-side or something and you're the only goalkeeper. But at the end of the day, if you're looking at the fact that a lot of clubs have 3 goalkeepers, 2/3 of goalkeepers know they're not getting football. And for me, finding a second choice that sees the opportunity behind James Trafford, if James Trafford gets an injury, cool, I'm a starting goalkeeper in the Premier League and I might be able to hold on to that. So, to sum up, Zetterer may have done his medical at Thorpe Arch. It's very, very complicated. I believe that is probably the case because it means that once those dominoes start to fall, we can get that move across the line like that. Nice and quick, easily done. We know what he's like medically, just sign the papers. Then again, Zetterer potentially back at Frankfurt doing training, which is quite fun. Mark Beaumont in the chat, I'm recording this one live, sorry about that one, says, good afternoon, Joe, this backup goalkeeping situation's reaching slapstick proportions right now. I don't think it is. I'm fairly happy with it, to be honest with you. I think whilst the goalkeeping situation is a little bit weird, like without a doubt, it's standard. Just wait for other moves to be done before you can make yours. This happens every transfer window. I'm settled on it. And I'm happy enough that we can wait a while and get a backup goalkeeper that we need. And if not, Lucas Perry's fine. But that's just what I think. As always, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe as well. That'd be massively appreciated. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed. I will see you all later. Toodaloo. Also, definitely subscribe, right? Because I know enough of you are subscribed to do this. I've got a very, very big video planned at 10,000 subscribers. And I know I'm miles away right now. I'm like 1.9 thousand away. But help me get there, and you'll get to see the snazzy video. Thank you very much. Anyway, toodaloo. Ta-ra. Bosh.